Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the MineWarp Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about everything new and exciting coming to us in the world of innovation in the mining industry. And today we are speaking with another innovator, a very innovative company that I'm sure many of you will know already, and specifically with Satish Penmetsa. He is the co-founder and CEO of Groundhog. They're a California-based company, and they specialize in mining software solutions. Satish, welcome to the MineWarp Podcast.
Thank you so much, MP. I appreciate it, and I've heard a lot of amazing things about the MineWarp podcast. You're doing a
Yeah,
phenomenal job educating the industry, and yeah, happy to be here.
thank you so much. Yes, you've been with IBM, and you've been with a bunch of other companies before you joined or started, I guess, Groundhog. So why don't you just quickly introduce us to yourself and give us a bit of a thumbnail sketch of your background, please?
Yeah, and I've said this to anybody that I've actually met is I said, 15 years ago, the only thing I knew about mining was how to spell mining. Uh, and as you rightly pointed out, I mean, my background was at IBM. I am a software engineer by profession, at least starting out of college.
Hmm.
So I worked at IBM, had a few patents there, all software and storage related. And then I did my MBA at the Wharton School of Business, where I met
Hmm.
Jess Kindler.
Right.
Jess back then was the store manager in Elko, and he was my classmate.
I see. Yeah. In the
And we
MBA
used to
program.
organize in the MBA program, in
I
the
see.
MBA
Right. Uh-huh.
program. So he organized a trip for a bunch of our classmates out
Hmm.
to a mine out in Nevada, an underground mine in Nevada.
Hmm.
And, I was on that trip. This is
Wow.
right about when we were starting up Groundhog. I mean, the prior incarnation of Groundhog is Rapid Biz Apps.
Hmm.
So this was right about the time when we were starting out Rapid Biz Apps. So he takes me underground. I look around and I see people, just walking around doing their work. Zero technology, writing stuff on a piece of paper, all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
At least they wrote
Then
it
when
down.
we
You know,
come
you got to
out,
give them
oh,
some
they
credit, you know?
exactly. They did. They did. So coming out of that shaft, just basically said, look, I know you're starting out this new company. Instead of going out and starting yet another Instagram or something, why don't you solve real problems for real people?
Mm.
And those real people being mining people, because he said nobody really focuses on mining companies. So that's triggered uh, you know, a certain train of thought.
Mm.
And then we did some work for Jess, and I'm talking 2012, 2013. We went
So
out
he
to an
was
SME
with Atlas
conference.
Copco then, was he?
He was with Atlas Copco back then, yes.
Right. Then that later became Epiroc, and I also spent a
That,
few years with Epiroc. Yeah, so we've got that
yeah,
in common
yeah,
there.
yeah, for sure. I know he's changed roles recently, so um, yeah, Jess invited me to a bunch of mining conferences. And at these mining conferences, he introduced me to his his friends.
Hmm.
And through that, we slowly built up expertise in mining. We started
Oh.
getting customers in mining. And, between 2012 and 2018, 2019,
Hmm.
we had a very diverse portfolio of companies that we supported.
Okay.
A vast majority of them in mining, but we also did healthcare, startups,
Okay.
IT companies, storage companies. And at one point, we said, you know what, we have to focus on one thing. And by that time, we had already built Groundhog as a product, as an underground fleet management system. And what we noticed was, when we went to new customers, um, there wasn't much of a brand recall value where,
Mm.
sometimes they refer to us as Rapid, sometimes they would refer to us as Rapid Biz, sometimes Rapid Apps. So
Right.
in February of 2020, we did this hard reset and we rebranded as Groundhog. And from
Okay,
then
good.
on, people now know us as a mining productivity platform company,
Mm. And I must
and
compliment you. I
everything
think
that
the
we
name
do,
is wonderful, and it's so much better than Rapid Biz Apps.
for sure. And in hindsight, we should have
Mm,
done this in like 2014, 2015, when we initially launched Groundhog as an underground fleet management system. So yeah,
mm, mm.
hindsight's always 2020. So
That's a fascinating background, Satish. Wow. And your role initially in the company, was it always in a leadership role, or did you also have a bit of technical and direct invention input there, or what was your role from the beginning?
yeah, so I mean, Krishna and I co-founded the company, and
Hmm.
both of us are very hands-on engineers.
Right.
So from a product roadmap development, from a UI UX design standpoint,
Hmm.
I've always been very involved. I still am very involved in product design, product
Okay.
roadmaps. But for the
Mm.
most part, as you and I were talking about before, it's a go-to-market that's more important than the engineering side.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, it's great to have a great product, but it's more important for other people to recognize that you have a great product and implement it, right? So,
Yeah.
go-to-market is top of mind for us.
Oh, that's so true. There are so many engineers with wonderful ideas, and not too many of us are able to take that to the world and actually make a successful business out of it. Um, I want to, before we jump into a little bit more of the kind of business problems that you solve and so on, I want to ask you a question about fleet management systems. That is a
Sure.
term that gets bandied around a lot, and it seems it's almost like digital transformation. Depending on who you ask, you'll get a different uh, definition of it. So why don't you sketch that for us? What do you see that encompasses? What is a fleet management system?
To me, a fleet management system is anything that helps you increase the overall utilization of all the assets you have on site.
Okay, right.
Elevator pitch kind of a thing. So anything that has to do with tracking where the equipment is,
Mm,
how efficient it is, what is its current status and health,
mm,
and what is its maintenance status, and can I increase the overall availability of the machine, and then maximize its utilization by eliminating all the standbys and operating delays. All
mm,
of that to
mm.
me encompass what a fleet management system ought to provide.
You make me very happy because I have asked this question of a few people and many people, and with respect, very often those connected with OEMs think of a fleet management system as maximizing availability, right?
Hmm.
And so let's create telematic solutions, and let's create a variety of maintenance management systems and so on that make my fleet really always available and make it cheap and cost effective to maintain the fleet, etc. But in the end, your machines could be 100% available, but
Yeah.
if your planning and operations are poor, that means that you're going to use the machine only 20% of the time in any way. So who cares how available they are? you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. They can be parked for all I care. Yeah, it's
exactly.
useless.
Yeah, so no, that was really good. I think that makes a lot of sense. That it is about both availability and utilization, and then of course efficiency and effectiveness and so on comes in as well. But those are the mainstays of a fleet management, a successful one in any way.
Yeah.
So let's jump into that then in a little bit more detail. with Groundhog, what would you say are the major problems that you are setting out to solve in the mining industry? Because you haven't just built a set of features and functions that look nice, and they do look nice. I quite like the software, but the fundamental mining problems that you are setting out to solve with Groundhog, what are they?
So, at the core, it is all about productivity. Productivity and mining efficiency and mining intensity. That's,
Okay.
the core pain point that we want to address. And the fleet management system, I mean, that's why we now have three separate product lines, three major product lines. One has to do with operational efficiency, which the fleet management system comes under. Then we have a maintenance cloud where, that's where we target the availability numbers. And then the safety cloud, which is used to make everybody safe and compliant. So those are our three main product
Okay.
lines, all geared towards improving overall productivity at the mine site,
Right.
using a combination of digital tools, that is, software, apps, and now hardware as well.
Okay. Wow. So the hardware angle, tell us a little bit more about that.
So the hardware, what we find is that most hardware is already commoditized. So it's, our core value proposition is to find the right hardware to put on a machine to grab relevant information. For example, we partnered with Senquip to roll out what we call a CAN box. This is to get
Okay.
all the asset health information off of a machine.
Mm-hmm.
Through that asset health information, you start analyzing trends in asset health. For example, are the pressures getting out of whack? Are the temperatures getting out of whack? Are there engine overspeeds and so on? All of this come off of the CAN box, as we call it, but underlying it's we use a Senquip unit. Because Senquip has built this phenomenal hardware box that reads CAN data, and then we provide intelligence on top of that data. That's what I mean by commoditization of hardware. Same with angle sensors, position sensors, and so on. So we package all of this and say, hey, here's a high precision digging solution now, or high precision drilling solution for now. So that's the hardware angle that we take, is we don't manufacture our own hardware. We take off the shelf sensors and then package them up and, have a use case based solution.
So yeah, I like that, because it means that it's not tech for the sake of tech, but it's tech for the sake of solving not some generic problem, but the specific use case that the mine has. The assumption then that I make is that you can also make non-smart machines into smart machines, and then
Absolutely.
lift the, kind of the rising tide that lifts all ships. Everything in the
Yeah.
mine becomes smarter, right?
Yeah, and part of the investments that we are making right now is, when we talk about efficiency, right? The long-term trend is to automate everything that goes on in the mine, including load haul and all of that stuff. So what we want to be is a software that coordinates all the mining activities that go on a site. For example, autonomous haulage, be the software layer to do that coordination. And then, have plug and play hardware, like, it could be a Komatsu truck for all I care, or a Volvo truck or a Caterpillar truck for all we care, as long as we do all the synchronization and orchestration of the machines. Orchestration is the word I was looking for.
So there are, of course, competitors to Groundhog out there, and many of them are homegrown by mines themselves, and developed by the engineering staff or the IT staff on the mine, and they are very uniquely designed for the problem domain at the mine and so on. But they don't necessarily always play nice in the greater technological environment that comes to the mine from all of the other vendors and so on. How do you approach that unstoppable thirst for integration and interoperation that is just coming at mines 100 miles an hour?
Yeah, uh, we support open architectures. All of
Okay.
our products have APIs to easily integrate with other
Mm-hmm.
companies. I don't see a big use case for a mine to build their own fleet management system. It's a generic enough problem. It just needs to be configured right for that mine site, right? And even in the same company, different mines, I mean, the layouts are different, the configurations need to be different, and so on. Which, companies like us and all the other major fleet management systems as well provide the flexibility for a mine to deploy the fleet management system as they see fit for that particular site. So I don't see a big reason for the mine to develop its own fleet management system, to be honest.
It often feels like a cheaper solution, in the beginning, because you don't have to go out and buy something, especially if you've got smart people employed already. But the problem is smart people come and go, and then they leave you with their smart solution that is not so easy to maintain. And then you have to carry the can for that, and not only maintenance, but investing further development as it goes, and the know-how, as you say, and so on. So that it really does not make sense. Never mind the burden that then passes to the information management team at the mine to look at interfacing and interoperating between systems that are all, purpose-built just for that mine by the team there, and it becomes a nightmare. I've seen that so many times. But those are not the only.
Here's the thing
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
opened up my eyes a few years ago, where let's say, and this was actually explained to me by my corporate finance professor of all the people. He said, look, if Michael Jordan was the best basketball player in the world and the best table tennis player in the world, for example, and if he had another hour to practice, what should he practice? Basketball, of course, because that gets him the bigger return on investment for his time invested.
I had a similar
And
analogy, last week, just from a tennis coach that said, most people think when you are going out to practice, you should practice the shots that you're bad at. He said, but you don't win a game with the shots that you're bad at. You win a game with the shots that you're good at. He says, so spend 80% of the time with the thing that you're good at, and 20% of the time improving that which you might not be that good at. And you focus on the thing that makes you win. And I think mining companies need that same kind of mindset.
Yeah. And when it goes to mines, right, I tell the mines, you guys are really good at, digging earth and processing it. Let's take care of the technology for you because we know what we are doing.
Then, I see that there is some friction between technology suppliers and technology adopters or innovators and implementers, as I call them. Sometimes because of change fatigue, or because there are just so many things changing at the same time in mining companies. Sometimes it's because of failed digitalization efforts at mines, and it's like a once bitten, twice shy type of thing. So if you look at your successes, what do you think makes technology adoption succeed at some mines, even though it does fail at others?
Yeah. Having a site champion definitely helps. If it's coming from the GM saying, hey, thou shalt do this, what we find is there's a lot of resistance to change.
Okay.
However, if there are people that are driven to make improvements at the middle layer, like,
Mm,
mining
mm,
engineer or a dispatcher, or, even just the mine manager who uses that data on a day-to-day basis.
mm,
That tends to be a lot stickier
mm.
than a corporate driven, thou shall do this direct. It's like,
Yeah.
there's this old saying, I can drag a horse to the water, but I can't make it drink. So
Mm,
when corporate has this whole, hey, we are going on this digital initiative, I've seen it fail more frequently than succeed.
mm,
However, if it's driven by the mind's need to improve its productivity and lower its cash costs,
mm,
those are the instances where I've seen long-term change sustain over the long term.
mm, mm. Yeah, that makes perfect
Um,
sense. Because
and
then
if
it's
they're using
value-based as
data
opposed to
every
force,
day,
right? Yeah.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
pull-based, has had a lot more success than push.
Mm, sure. So, if you look at Groundhog specifically and your applications, and congratulations with the launch of Simple SIC, you can talk a little bit about that in a minute. Um, but who are the typical customer that you help? Is it the large tier one global operators? Is it I almost want to say the quarry outside town? Where do you pitch?
We primarily pitch at mines and mining contractors as well,
Hmm.
that, have more than 10 machines. That's
Okay.
that's a sweet spot for us, between 10 and say 200 machines.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
that's a big scope.
it is because that's where productivity seems to be super important.
Mm.
Anybody that has less than 10 machines, they're saying, hey, we'll just use a pen and a paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll record my actuals on the back of an envelope.
Mm.
Um,
Exactly.
and to them, I'm like, yeah, and uh, you know, good on them.
Mm.
But
Exactly.
anybody that has a fleet of, like I said, more than 10 machines, that's when productivity really starts kicking in.
Mm.
Um, for the open pits, we don't go after the super large operations because they typically already
Okay.
have something and have been using
Right.
something.
Yeah.
So our sweet spot, let me recalibrate, is, a site that has between 10 and say about 70 machines. That's our sweet
Okay.
spot.
Right. And
For
mostly
open
for the
pits,
underground mining world.
for underground mining, I mean, anybody that wants to improve productivity, that's who we go after. And even there, as long as they have about 7+ machines, they
Mm.
are typically looking for operational improvements and productivity improvements. Especially, you know, the first thing we do is we see if they are face constrained or machine constrained. And
Right.
based on that, we pitch.
Mm.
When
Mm.
you're doing a lot of development work, you are face constrained. And for
Mm.
that, we use the short interval control system to maximize face utilization.
Okay.
Uh, you have a lot of, and by the way, that's a use case that mining contractors care about, is
Mm.
maximizing face utilization.
Yep.
Whereas in a
That.
production mine,
Yeah. No, go
they're
ahead.
mainly equipment constrained.
Mm.
And for that, we look at ways to maximize utilization by minimizing tramming distances and whatnot, and still, going after the mine where you have high priority headings or high priority stops.
Mm. It's not that simple to provide systems to both mines and mining contractors. Because their needs are not exactly the same. The one is a
Yeah.
extremely low margin business, and it's all about volume and throughput and time. Whereas the other maybe has a little bit more of a luxury to do selective work and do proper scheduling, and it's not such a such a narrow margin business. So
Yeah.
where big mining companies have a great focus on standards and standard operating procedures and so on, and that has to be built into planning systems very often, the contractors have to keep their business simpler. So how do you provide solutions to both of those? And do you also do
Yeah.
that, provided both to the contractor and the operator and the owner at the same mine? Do you find that those mix?
So I mean, this is part of our evolution as well. We
Hmm.
started out fairly small, I mean, solving a fairly small set of use cases. And as we worked with some of the larger mines, that scope expanded and expanded and
Mm.
expanded to the enterprise short interval control system we have right now.
Right. Hmm.
And what we found is, as you rightly pointed out, the mining contractors don't care about all the other bells and whistles. They are
Mm.
more tactical,
Mm.
and they have a different set of needs. One is obviously to track their physicals and then look at the variance to plans.
Hmm.
But then they're very focused on face utilization. Whereas the larger mines, they are more, uh, they have many faces, so they are looking for equipment utilization,
Mm.
maximizing equipment utilization. The other thing is, for mining contractors and even the small mines, they're looking at automating invoicing and payroll.
Right. Of
So we
course.
provide that
Yes.
as part of that package within
Oh, you do.
our new product, the Simple SIC.
So that crosses the boundary
Because
then between managing the task and managing the commercials associated with that task.
exactly right, exactly right. So there's things that we put in so that a mining contractor can track all the cost codes associated with all kinds of work.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And
Yes.
then when an operator gets assigned work at a particular heading,
Hmm.
they are automatically allocated this particular cost code because they said, hey, that kind of work is going to be paid by the footage, and the other kind of work, a different cost code is based on time.
Mm.
For example, installing utilities and so on.
You know what?
So we've taken care
I've
of
been
all of those
involved in
things.
that kind of work a lot before, and mining, you know, activity-based costing and area-based costing and all kinds of different costing models, workplace naming conventions, linking that with cost codes and in your ERP system and so on. That is not a small endeavor, and so you must also, I guess, have a pretty strong consulting team when it comes to implementing these systems, because it's not only about satisfying the mining engineer and the scheduler, right? There's a
Yeah.
much bigger picture.
Oh, absolutely. And we have a team that we call the performance engineering team. It's
Hmm.
headed by Jason Orkamp right now. And it's all about, hey, let's look at your mining operation.
Hmm.
Let's see the data and let's see where you can improve.
Okay.
Uh, and yeah, some of the things that we look at is, can I get butts in seats faster?
Mm. Mm.
And time to first activity and so on, and trying to
Right.
shrink that safely. Second
Right.
is we also look at other operational delays and look at how we can reduce operational delays first. And
Mm.
then also standby delays, right? Equipment standbys, right? Figuring out
Mm.
how to reduce that. So that's what our performance engineering team does. And then we have our customer success team headed by Lisa Daniels that is in
Right.
charge of making sure adoption is high.
Okay.
Adoption is
Yeah.
high within the first 90 days because those first 90 days make or break a deployment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh,
So, well, um, that sounds like a really well thought out both software package as well as set of services that make it easy for a customer to get value or to get to value sooner. Um, Let me maybe head towards the end here and ask you
sure.
two questions. The one about your vision for the future. If you had that magic wand, um, looking at the current mining industry as it stands, and at the trends in technology and so on, and there was no brakes on R&D and so on, what would you build? What do you think is that last frontier that mines really need that you just wish you could get your hands into?
Yeah. See, the concept that always fascinated me is, have you seen Minority Report?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So there is this one sequence where, Tom Cruise is hiding, and
Yeah.
somebody goes out and, sends out a set of spiders to go hunt him down by, you know, sensing where people are and then checking their eyeballs.
Okay.
My vision is, I want to see the day when, the same thing happens for mines.
Mm.
Is there's a set of robots that know where the ore is and just go figure out how to, get it out, right? So
Yeah.
you're basically being the brain uh, to orchestrate all of these
Mm. Mm.
bots. One
Mm.
that goes and does a drill, a second one goes and blasts and comes out, and then does all the mining. We're starting to get there in open pits.
Mm. It's interesting how there is this, seems like a quest to move away from mining as a cycle to mining as a continuous process,
Yes.
and yeah, that'll be interesting to see what comes down from the future to us now.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
our
Satish, then,
vision is to be the
yeah,
orchestration engine for
yep.
automated mining.
So let's talk about just the company itself, maybe, and get a bit of your personal wisdom here when it comes to leadership insights as well for other CEOs and other inventors or innovators that are also in your shoes. What advice would you give to other CEOs or founders in mining in general?
Yeah.
And then the second is maybe if you look at the how hard it is to turn tech into commercial success.
Yeah.
What's maybe the biggest lesson that you've learned in the past years with Groundhog?
Yeah. The biggest lesson, I mean, from a leadership standpoint, is to make sure that you have a a team around you that is much better than you are.
Hmm.
So who is on the bus along with you,
Hmm.
front and
Hmm.
center, right? Because you have to realize that you can't do everything by yourself.
Of course.
Uh, and then delegate, but then also check.
Yes. Not
Uh,
abdicate, but delegate.
yes, yes. Um, that is by far the biggest insight that I've experienced over the years is if you want to grow, you have to be able to replicate what you think is good. And since you can't clone yourself, make sure you have people that are actually, in fact, better than you at those particular skill sets.
Hmm.
Um,
Very good.
engineering, sales, marketing, you name it.
So I always close the podcast by asking a bit more of a quick personal question, and that is,
Sure.
what do you do to switch off? As a senior leader, you also have to not be running the treadmill every day, all day. So what is your secret to switching off?
Uh, it's very hard to switch off. It is very hard to switch off. I don't think, I mean, we have family, we go out with the family, we have two dogs, you figure out a way to switch off, I suppose, but it's very hard to switch off.
Yeah,
It's very, very, very hard to switch off because, I mean, you see this as your baby. You want to make sure,
of
uh,
course. Mm.
I have two kids, but I mean, this is the third kid too.
And they
Uh,
say if you have kids, it's the only thing you've got.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And
So,
certainly that's true for a
um,
business too.
yeah. So what do you do to switch off?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. We keep thinking 24 by 7. MP.
Well,
It's very hard to switch off. But then
all
you
the
have a competent team around you
yeah.
to take care of things. So that gives you peace of mind. That does give you peace of mind. So
Well, all the best with that going forward. And, I can just see that the company is developing rapidly. So maybe that does go back to the initial name, Rapid
yeah.
Research. So thank you for spending the time with MineWarp, and I'm sure that everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. And all the best with the rest of the year for you and the team at MineWarp. Rather at Groundhog.
Thank you, MP. It's been a pleasure and it's been an honor to be on MineWarp. I'm looking forward to more such conversations.